Hi, welcome to Laura's View and Tarot 2. I am so glad you're here. Today's date is Wednesday, January 24th, 2024. Before I proceed, as usual nowadays, to be safe, let's remind everybody that these videos I make are for entertainment purposes only. And now, having done that, let's take a look at the thought that entertained me most recently. I've been thinking about some social media drops that are several years old, but still seem to have relevance even today. And oftentimes, as we're learning, have multiple meanings. Now, the particular phrase that interested me was found in two different of those social media posts that mentioned how 99% of the population could end up in a hospital when the truth is known. Let me take you to a compilation I've got, and we're going to explore that topic, and it may get a little bit woo. We'll find out. Okay, the share screen I'm going is a Facebook compilation. The link to that will be in the video description box for this video if you'd like to go to that. Or just follow along and glean what you can as we discuss and find out from the universe. Okay, so the two specific drops that mention 99% being hospitalized, the truth would put 99% of people in the hospital. This was number 142 back in November 12, 2017. And then a week prior, they had the complete picture would put 90% of Americans, and then in parentheses, the world, in a hospital. Now, there was some discussion about those particular phrases that was happening in on an alt media discussion board I like to read. And I found several comments to be really thought-provoking. Here was one, and these aren't mine, these are paraphrases from other people's thoughts. Depends on how deep you are studying history, the occult, and secret societies. This depends on if you believe in angels and demons. Multiple dimensions are involved. There are those who really believe all this and try to summon and manifest for their own power. Good and evil are real. Put those together and you will start to pray and be grateful you can see, even though it's painful and a tiresome burden. Another Anon said 99%. Eugenics and child will anger, sadden, and unite humanity. I sure hope, but it won't put 99% of the world in a hospital, as far more than 1% of the world is aware of this. Anons can do some deep self-reflection and find out if their paradigms and their realities are of that 1%. But to quote that 17, the end won't be for everyone, and choice to know will be yours. Maybe this means it won't be necessary for 99% of the world to know the more mind-bending stuff if they choose not to. And another Anon said, what if it was meant that people would be rushing to the hospitals or healing centers to remove or repair something now exposed or now known? What if we all have something in us bogging us down and preventing us from reaching our full potentials? Do you think the current IQ levels of society are natural? I don't. Think parasites, DNA altering, etc. So I found it really interesting that ordinary everyday people are discussing such what would have formerly been really esoteric topics about something like this. And I do believe it's true that far more than 1% of the world is aware of the known evil we discuss obliquely on channels like mine. What happens to little ones about tunnels and product production and lots of things like that, that more than 1% are aware. So it does beg the question, what would put 99% of the people in the hospital or have them rushing to a hospital? So let's ask the universe. We would like some insights and information about those 17 drops that talked about 99% of the world, if the truth was known, would be rushing to a hospital. Now, we understand that since they mentioned world, I know there's whole countries and swaths and regions of this plane of existence that don't care about American politics. So I think it's talking about more than politics. And universe, please let us know what might be being alluded to when those discussions were that when truth was known, 99% might rush to a hospital. Let's see what the universe wants to add to our store of knowledge about that phrase and potentials for our world. I'm going to switch the camera so you can watch me work with the cards, and we'll find out together. Okay, so that phrase in those drops, about 99% of the world could rush to a hospital or put them in a hospital. Is that 1%, the 1% that will choose not to know? And 99% eventually will? That would be lovely. What's going on in the universe? Insights and information about some of the meaning in those drops. Okay, our first card is Ace of Wands, Queen of Wands, the Lovers, King of Pentacles, the Four of Pentacles, Judgment, Strength. So out of 7 cards, we have 1, 2, 3 that are major arcanas, and we have an ace showing up too, which is also a power card. So this is interesting. We're getting first of all, we're getting insights from the universe right here that this is a good question to be asking. It's a good place for our minds to go and our critical thinking skills to engage in a topic that is of value. Okay, so what the cards are telling me is that in addition to just the shock and jolt of learning things that people may have totally chosen to ignore, and sometimes not really by their own choice, but because they're in survival mode in this complicated world we live in. I'm seeing that there's something more to that meaning, and it talks about we're talking about the path of the human race here too, and our potentials. The Ace of Wands, it talks about new beginnings. So that when all disclosures are out there and done, there will be an opportunity for some new beginnings. And that a lot of people are going to take advantage of, not immediately, but over time. Absolutely. And the recent past, we have the Lovers card, and this is kind of like a cosmic agreement card and partnership and balancing the needs and wants of someone else as much as you do your own. Very, very beautiful energy type card. So behind all these disclosures and this silent war that's happening on our plane of existence and for humanity, there have just been some really good motives, a love for the human race and a desire for us to be more on the path that we were intended for. The King of Pentacles is showing up for the current situation. And this card is a really good card that talks about being a faithful provider and just a lot of generosity. See, there's generosity showing up here. There's also a lot of forgiveness showing up in these cards and renewal. Even the Judgment card actually has a layer to it that talks about renewal. Okay, that it's associated with renewal and forgiveness and freedom and a higher consciousness. So it does look like that speculation that the 99% that could end up heading to a hospital or healing center, possibly to have something deactivated, removed, restored, repaired, that's got a lot of validity to it. It actually does. The Strength card is showing up in the near future too. Now, first of all, we've got the Four of Pentacles, and that's just in the near future, and it's a reality check that, again, if 99% of the world's population wanted to have that healing that they're talking about, if it couldn't happen cosmically on an entire plane of existence level, we have to understand that there is some value in having our resources used wisely. Okay, this isn't always a card of frugality, but it's always one about using your resources wisely. And that's why we have heard that when there are some little ones or people that have been rescued or were grievously harmed, that they are already receiving some of that help and they were prioritized. By the same token, if something was made available to the general public, it would make sense to me to take care of our elderly and our veterans first before things became more generally available. The strength card, again, a card with means just what it says. Plus, there is definitely an infinite forgiveness and healing energy to this card. So what I'm getting here is not so much we're getting some resources that have to be used wisely and made available, strategically. Just because 8 billion can't all go to be healed at once. And then, yeah, I love it. I love it. So some of what that was talking about had nothing to do with politics, but everything to do with the path humanity's on. And again, where we were told time and again that the choice to know would be yours, the choice to participate in some of this, maybe DNA healing or things like that, is going to also be people's. And we just have to understand that some people will say, no, it's too late in the game for me, or I'm not ready, or I like how I am right now. And that's just the way it is. Let's get 2 more cards and see if there's more information the universe wants us to know. Because I think that's pretty big info drop right there. We have the Queen of Cups and showing up with the Nine of Swords. Again, just a card, since we're looking at future events, okay, and we're looking at it, insights and information. The Queen of Cups is letting us know that it's a matter of emotional intelligence. What you believe, what you access, what you choose for yourself. And just a reminder that even though there are forces that want us to be fearful, there's much less to worry about with the change that's coming, with the change that's going to be available to us, and with our very existence. There's much less to worry about than we're told there is. And we know that. We know that there are beings that just love to sip and dine on fear energy. And that's why there's so much fear porn in our world. So just a reminder, folks, there's not as much to worry about as you think there is, no matter what they try to tell us with the non-humanity centered narratives. So let's recap. We were curious, I was, and if you stayed around for the video, you were too, curious about why specifically 99% was the number that was listed not once but twice in those posts back in 2017, talking about how 99% of the population could end up in a hospital if the full disclosures happened or didn't happen in the right order, or however that meant to be interpreted. So we asked the universe for some insights about why those numbers were used. We looked at some really thought-provoking comments that Anons had when they were discussing what that might be. And one of those Anons, well, 2 of them were actually going beyond politics and talking about multiple planes of existence, restoring DNA, could it be references that had to do with that? And the universe, we asked for insights and information about that 99%. First of all, we were told that it was about new beginnings and a lot of forgiveness, restoring, healing. So definitely those thoughts that were going along the lines of, could it be talking about restoring DNA, improving our health, removing some programming or implants or something like that? Could that be what it is? Could that remaining 1% that won't be in a hospital, could it not be maybe that they're fully enlightened, but that's the small percentage that are going to choose not to know and not to grow? And we got a nod towards that line of thought, very, very much so, with the ace showing up, Ace of Wands. We did get a little bit of a nod that since it does reference healing technologies and good healthcare, that they've had to make some good decisions about resources, because rolling things out for everyone all at once is just not feasible and practical unless it happens on a cosmic level and happens to the whole plane of existence at once, and then we wouldn't need a reference to the hospital. So just as far as the people part of it, the technology part of it, the healing centers. There's been, they have just an acknowledgement that they have to be wise about allocating those resources. The strength card showed up as an insight card. Again, a card that has a lot of love and talks about forgiveness and healing. A lot of healing indicated here. So who knows? I may live long enough to get all of those DNA strands activated. I'd like that. There's also even a restoring and healing element to the judgment card. And I like that that showed up too. The recent past card was the Lovers, just kind of a nod to us to let us know that we're loved and cared about. Our needs and wants are being carefully considered and given the merit that they deserve. So as this war wraps up publicly, even if it's wrapped up privately, let's just remember there's much less to worry about than we think there is. The good things are coming, and that most of us are going to end up in a place where we're ready to incorporate all of that goodness in healing and growth and potential into our own personal paths. And I think that's gorgeous to know that so few will choose a different way. So that's it for this video. I thank you so much for your time and attention. I don't take you for granted. I try not to use up too much of your time because when you're searching for truth and accuracy on the internet, you have to go many, many places and look at many, many sources and kind of glean from those what feels like truth to you using your discernment, which is one of our big skills that we can start working on right now and should. So I try not to take up too much of your time. There's not going to be a 90-minute video from Laura with lots of commercials and things I'm selling and things like that. And please and things. No, I'll just tell you what I'm curious about, what the cards seem to be telling me, and then I will wish you love and light and send you on your merry way. So let's do that right now. Until next time, bye.